And a TGIF, everybody. Welcome into the First Call podcast. Alongside Jeff Siegel, I'm Jeremy Plonk, representing First Bet and Express Bet. This is the podcast where we handicap for the weekend, and this is a big Triple Crown weekend. We don't have big field sizes. What do we got, Jeff? 7, 7, and 5. We got 19 of them lined up across the 3 Triple Crown preps this weekend. But New York, Florida, California, all represented on the Road to the Roses, including Citizen Bull, the champion 2-year-old, last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner. It's always good to have a champ back.
I'm not sure which race will produce the best prospect here. I'm curious to see. Theoretically, it should be here in California when you got the champion coming back. I'm not sure we're going to learn too much from him. Well, maybe we will, because this time I think he's going to have to deal with heat, Citizen Bull. Mm-hmm. But Aqueduct, those colts in that race, they got a lot to prove. Holy Bull didn't come up as strong as I thought it might, but that doesn't mean somebody can't leap to the occasion. So interesting racing this week. Good gambling. I'm looking forward to not only here in California, great card here, but at Gulfstream as well. So and the best news, Jeremy, is it's going to be dry everywhere, so we can take the form at face value. I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, sunny and 80 in Florida. Be sunny out your way, I'm sure. Temps, 60s, 70s out there in Southern California this time of year. And in New York, it's sunny and mid-30s, and that's about as good as you can ask for at Aqueduct for Withers Day. For the benefit of those of you on our audio podcast channels, we'll give you a look at the rundown of races we're going to look at in just a moment. Also, those of you watching on our audio or on our video channels through X and through YouTube, be sure to like, share this out, give us comments in the comment section, help grow the audience for the First Call podcast. Here are the 8 races Jeff and I are going to handicap over the next half hour or so. Aqueduct, the Withers Stakes, points on the line, 20 points to the winner of this one towards the Kentucky Derby. $10 money back special, that MBS showing up there in green. We've got a deal for you with a First Bet and Express Bet on all of the points preps for the Kentucky Derby between now and the Lexington Stakes, which is on the doorstep of the first Saturday in May. You've got a $10 money back special on every Derby prep when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet, which means if your win bet finishes second or third, you get up to $10 back in your account in wagering credits. We'll go to Gulfstream Park for the Swale, the Kitten's Joy, and the Holy Bull on Saturday. All 3 races for the 3-year-old colts. The Swale a sprint, the Kitten's Joy a turf race, and the Holy Bull right on the path for the Florida Derby. And to Santa Anita we'll go for a stakes quartet on Saturday. The Santa Monica for the filly and mare sprinters. The Lewis with the $10 money back special for the 3-year-old colts, the Megahertz for the turf mares, and the Thunder Road for the turf milers. That will wrap up our 8 stakes races, 4 of them coming from Santa Anita. If you like to play the handicapping tournament scene, we've got a couple options for you this weekend. Beat the Host, week number 5. Brian Natto from Gulfstream Park is in the host chair. Take him on. Those are the last 5 races at Gulfstream, the first 5 races at Santa Anita. And then on Saturday, if you like to play in the high money, high roller handicapping tournaments, $1,500 entry fee for the NHC National Handicapping Championship Super Qualifier. Those races include both Gulfstream and Santa Anita races. It's the end of the card at Gulfstream, I believe the final 4 races, and the entire card at Santa Anita. Be sure to check out expressbet.com/tournaments to check out all the details and to get registered for those handicapping contests. Speaking of Beat the Host, Jeff Siegel was in the chair last week in ExpressBet Beat the Host. Jeff, you threw up 4 winners in your 10 contest races, and very few players beat your total, so you knocked a lot of people out of the Beat the Host competition. You're going to be off the Christmas card list of a lot.
Well, I usually do lousy in those kind of settings, so I was actually surprised. I didn't even realize I had 4 until I checked back after the races. I had I wouldn't say I had forgotten who I picked, but I had forgotten about, what they added up to. So that was good. I'm now, that means I'm eligible to return in that role for at least the next 3 years. So
there you go.
Because I hadn't, it's a tough thing.
This is a good time to renegotiate your contract after a good week like that, right? That's the way the players and coaches do it. You get a big win like that. Yeah, you need a new 3-year deal worth more money after that.
Right. Maybe they can pay me $1 next year to do it. But no, it's fun to do it. And for those of you who tried to beat me, better luck next year.
All right. Good luck this weekend against Brian Nato. Again, 8 weeks of Beat the Host. We're 4 weeks in. So the back half of the Beat the Host competition coming up here. Nato coming up, Frank Miramati, myself, and I believe Ron Nicoletti hitting cleanup as the final host on the season. All right. Let's talk some handicapping for this Saturday. Again, 3 big Kentucky Derby preps with points allowed. We'll also talk about the Swale Stakes, which could have a Derby horse or two in there as well at 7/8 of a mile. But we start things off in New York with the Withers Stakes, $100 or $250,000 for the Withers Stakes, named for David Dunham Withers, a owner breeder in the 1800s. Eventually became the owner of Monmouth Park, and he was the first president of what became the Jockey Club. So this race goes back 1874, the first running of the Withers Stakes. But Jeff, it's only been a Kentucky Derby prep race since about 2012, 2013, when it was moved up into the early part of the calendar. But this race has never made sense to me on the NYMER calendar. It's a mile and an eighth. They run the Jerome at a mile, then they run this race at a mile and an eighth, and then they go back and march to the Gotham at a 1-turn mile. It's just not a good progression for horses. So this is more to me about horses who are starting off the trail. Like, these are not horses from the Jerome and Gotham type paths. I think these are the horses you want to get jumping onto the trail in the Withers.
It's strange. I'll say that there's got to be a rhyme and a reason behind it. But many of these horses are running in this race primarily because the good ones aren't, and this gives them a chance to maybe make some good purse money here. And it's not a graded stakes or anything like that. I see where it may make sense for Captain Cook. He's got the 2 sprints and a stretch out pattern here for Dutrow. He's a practical joke colt who brought $400,000 as a weanling. So he's pretty well regarded by his connections, kind of given a run at Churchill back in the fall when he was 6. Not bad, but he got play that day. That's one of the reasons why I think maybe he might be okay. Just 4-1, found 6 furlongs way too short. Didn't get a good trip. And then he was bet down to 1-2 in his next start, going 7/8 of a mile in the slop late December here at Aqueduct, and he just crushed. And he looked good doing it. The problem is he did it over a sea of mud, and I don't know if he can take that race at face value. You probably can't. So he still has something to prove, and I'm happy that he's going to get dry land to work with tomorrow, because that means we'll really kind of find out where he's at. Is he a legitimate colt? He earned a solid but not great number when he broke his maiden. I don't know where we're at with him, but I do think that he's the best of this lot, only because the best of the rest of these are just kind of, they are what they are. There's nothing there that you can latch onto saying, oh, he's going to be a good horse. Maybe he will, but I don't see anything among the others in here that I like. So Captain Cook, maybe not a good gamble, but he's the one I'm going to be watching.
Let's go back to his maiden breaking win, and it's kind of a U2 like day, a cold and wet December day. They were across the street from JFK, and that one, Captain Cook splashing through the slop here back on December the 28th.
Vengeance trying to run on. Also, Hope's alive. They reach the top of the stretch at Lal, and Jose Lescano still there. Captain Cook with every chance to run by this rival, and here comes Captain Cook to take the lead. Captain Cook and Manny Franco on the center of the racetrack. They're kicking clear by 2 lengths now with a furlong left to go. Griffin's Wharf making up some ground to the inside with Gray Ace at Lal trying to hold on for second, but Captain Cook is gone. Inside the final 16th, it's going to be all the favorite here in the opener. Captain Cook wins it easily. Captain Cook tied here for second. Griffin's Wharf in the photo there with Etlal and Gray Ace.
We'll see how he does over a fast track. Again, sunny skies, cold temperatures predicted for Saturday at Aqueduct. I thought Mo Quality's an interesting runner in here coming out of the Smarty Jones Stakes. He was a good second in there behind Cole Battle, but he was kind of all out to get by Kale's Angel to get the place in there. Kale's Angel has come back and returned to the sprint ranks for Peter Miller, now a multiple sprint stakes winner, but Kale's Angel not going to be mistaken for a router, and Mo Quality was all out to get by that one. Uncle Jim is a horse in here who's going to get some play coming out of a second place finish behind Cyclone State. Of course, Cyclone State came back and won the Jerome Stakes most recently for Chad Summers, the Jerome runner-up, Omaha in this race. So we won't see the winner of the Jerome in here, Cyclone State, but we're going to get a couple horses who have chased him recently, and that might give us a better feel for that one. We had mentioned when Cyclone State won the Jerome, not likely to be a Withers horse. He may go over for the Saudi Derby, the one-turn race overseas, or just wait for the Gotham Stakes. So we'll get a little bit more feel for Cyclone State after watching this one. And for Cole Battle, right? The horse who won the Springboard Mile and then came back and won the Smarty Jones. If you're a fan of Cole Battle, who was a 4-length winner of the Southwest, you want to see Mo Quality run a good one in here, don't you, Jeff?
Yeah, I looked at him. If this had been like a one-turn mile, I might like him. I don't know how far he's going to want to run. Pedigree-wise, he should stay at a middle distance. I looked at him, but he just looks like a horse a nice horse, but I don't think the upside's there. Maybe Captain Cook has more upside. That's why I went with him. But watching a horse romping against maidens on a sloppy track like that really tells me nothing other than we'll find out today or tomorrow whether he's worth following.
And when you're looking ahead with horses who are worth following coming out of the Withers, they're probably going to wait the Wood Memorial now. Instead of cutting back to the mile next time and going in the Gotham Stakes, they'll probably just wait for that first week of April and go after the Wood Memorial at the same 1 1/8 distance of the Withers. Let's go now down I-95, way down I-95 to Gulfstream Park, South Florida, where a trio of stakes races for the 3-year-old colts are in our focus here. There'll be races 9, 10, and 11 on the card. Race number 9, first up, the Swale, named for the 1984 Florida Derby winner there at Gulfstream Park, went on to win the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont Stakes for Woody Stevens. The Swale Stakes, Jeff, used to be a race where you would see a really sharp 2-year-old make their return. Think Easy Goer and 7/8 of a mile first time back after having the winter off, and then we go long after that. But it's a different ball game now, right? And the Swale Stakes hasn't necessarily been a Kentucky Derby type prep, but more sprinters. I'm not sure that wouldn't change if a couple horses in this race run well. I think there's some exciting prospects in this race in the Swale, not just to sprint, but maybe to go long. One of them is a horse named Gunmetal, who we talked about on our podcast going back to his debut win at the fairgrounds. He's a son of Gunrunner. Yes, the dam side pedigree, Speightstown is the dam sire, but there's reason to think in the pedigree that Gunmetal can get some distance as well. There's some other horses in here. Donut God, who we've talked about on our podcast in the past. He's got a lot of talent, winner of the inaugural stakes down at Tampa Bay Downs recently for Brian Lynch. So this is a pretty good-looking group for the Swale.
It's a good race. It really is. Even if it doesn't produce a Kentucky Derby type horse, it's going to take a good colt to win it. You mentioned Donut God. I really liked his Tampa Bay win. His numbers are good. But the one that was off the charts in his debut, at least according to the speed figure, was Gunmetal. And again, when you have a gun runner colt winning at first asking sprinting, as he did at Fairgrounds for Brad Cox, then you can get excited. And what I loved about Gunmetal not only was the fact that he pressed a hot pace and stayed on really nicely, but he took a punch. I mean, he had to work for this. It wasn't like he was cruising on the lead by himself and didn't really have to feel any pressure. He beat a nice colt in that race in Prime Power. And I would say that with that race, I love the progression here, Jeremy. There's no, let's go 2 turns. Let's take it one step at a time. This is a logical step. 3/4 to 7/8 and nice, healthy work pattern at Payson Park. Since then, again, the gamble may not be there at 7 to 5 in the morning line, but here's a colt. I think Brad's got a chance to develop at his rate, and that's good. And I think we'll see a good version of Gunmetal, and we'll see if he can justify that monster 96 Beyer speed figure that he earned in his maiden win at Fairgrounds.
Ground stretch, while 2 clear from Fanatical. Shadow Coast straightens away in 4th. To the inside chases Magic 5th, and Thermoscat is 6th on the far outside. They're coming down toward the final furlong. Half mile clicked off in 44.89, and these 2 juveniles, Prime Power and on the outside Gunmetal. It's Gunmetal and Prime Power, and they battle past the 16th. Fanatical is 3rd. Shadow Coast in 4th with Laurent Giroux. It's Gunmetal, and Gunmetal fires first time out. Gunmetal over Prime Power after a stretch battle. Fanatical was 3rd, and then Magical Wish and Shadow Coast.
Prime Power in there, you mentioned a well-thought-of Steve Asmussen runner who was entered back on Sunday in the first race at Oaklawn Park. So keep an eye on how we see the performance from Gunmetal. Obviously, here at Gulfstream and Swale, it's going to give you a big indicator. But I would have to think Prime Power at Oaklawn is going to be a heavy favorite regardless of the result of what we see here. But that could be a very key race that you just saw there, December 26th from the fairgrounds. So Donut God, Gunmetal, Grayscale, also a horse in the Swale who's got a lot of of talent based on the debut. He was a $250,000 frosted colt who debuted a 4-length winner in November at Gulfstream. That was before we got into the tougher part, the championship meet, if you will, at Gulfstream with some of the other horses shipping down. But Safi Joseph's runner was 1-5 on the unveiling and gets Irad Ortiz to ride. Grayscale with an outside draw. Very effective post position for a 7-furlong sprint like that. He could be tough in there. You've got the Mucho Macho Man 4th place finisher, Macho Music in here. That'll give us a little look ahead maybe to Guns Loaded, the horse who won the Mucho Macho Man, who will run in the 11th race on the card, the Holy Bull. So really interesting renewal of the Swale Stakes. On timing wise, you're right to the Fountain of Youth coming out of this race as you would be from the Holy Bull. So this is a good start off point like it used to be. The Swale Stakes could be a starting off point for horses heading towards the Florida Derby path. All right, let's go to Gulfstream's race number 10 on Saturday. It's the Kitten's Joy. This is the mile and a 16th on the turf, named for the 2004 champion turf male. Of course, the Ramses Foundation sire and trained by Dale Romans back in the day. Kitten's Joy, and looking at some research on him, what an incredible day he had in 2013 when 3 Grade 1 winners sired by Kitten's Joy all won on the same day. Incredible. They won the Sword Dancer, the Secretariat, and the Arlington Million all the same day. Prolific turf sire, passed away at age 21 back in 2022. But the Kitten's Joy, the race named for him, goes as race number 10 on the card at Gulfstream Saturday. Who do you like in this one, Jeff?
Good race. It's a non-graded race, but I think and of course, nobody pays much attention to turf 3-year-olds this time of the year. But I think we got a couple of colts in here that might be all right. And these are the kind of colts you'll see at those grass races at Keeneland and Churchill for 3-year-olds. But they get an early head start here and a good purse. Charlie's to Blame is a shipper for Peter Urton that looked good winning a maiden race at Del Mar back in early December. He made the lead that day. So, again, you have to worry about whether or not he's indeed the lead type. But he's got a progressive form there. The 79 buyer number that he earned was good. So I think he's 6-1. He's worth putting on your ticket somewhere. But the one that I was really impressed with was number 6, Test Score. Now, this is a colt that, again, looks like he's developing nicely. Broke his maiden 3 races back, and they tried him in a stake. So you knew before that he was well regarded. And then in the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, which is kind of a consolation prize for 2-year-old turf horses on Breeders' Cup weekend, colts that didn't have the resume to get into the big race, but still we're looking for some lucrative purses to run for. Test Score had just an absolutely brutal trip in that race. I didn't realize it until I went back and rewatched it, but he had a bad post that day, never got over, 3 to 4 wide every step of the way without cover, and he had no right to continue on and re-break at the top of the stretch, but he did. And again, coming against moderate fractions, final quarter and 23-2, and he was flying at the end and galloped out great. I think it's a good colt. And at 7-2 in the money line, for me, he's a gamble. Test Score off his very impressive performance, runner-up performance at Del Mar on Breeders' Cup weekend.
Top of the stretch. On the outside, Chasing Liberty runs up alongside of Floodlights and now takes an arrow lead. Cavallo Bay is asked to charge, and here comes Test Score 2 with a late rally. Chasing Liberty to catch. Test Score coming up the rail. Chasing Liberty, Test Score. Chasing Liberty wins it. Test Score was second, then Cavallo Bay, Scipio, and Bongo.
Chasing Liberty already come back to win a stakes race out of that. Won the Texas Mile down at Sam Houston. So certainly some positive results out of that one. Test Score, the runner-up. It'd be interesting in here to see the son of Kitten's Joy, Maui Strong, win the Kitten's Joy Stakes. We talked about what a prolific sire he was from one of the final crops of Kitten's Joy. Dale Romans, the trainer of Maui Strong, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention what a role he's been on. His horses are absolutely running through the bridle right now at Gulfstream Park. As red hot as you can be at Dale Romans, he's going to send out Maui Strong there in the Kitten's Joy Stakes, the son of Kitten's Joy in there out of the mare Legal Tender. So a lot of distance pedigree there with Giants Causeway and Kitten's Joy in the first 2 generations of the pedigree for Maui Strong. Let's go to the 11th race. It's the headliner on Saturday at Gulfstream Park, the first of our 3 money-back special prep races towards the Kentucky Derby this weekend. Again, the Holy Bull, the Withers, and they're the second of our 3. The Withers, the Holy Bull, and the Robert B. Lewis all have a $10 money-back special. So your win bets, if they finish second or third in those races, when you play and register with ExpressBet, give you a chance to get up to $10 back if your horse runs second or third. Jeff, we don't want to have to use that insurance, so tell us who's going to win the Holy Bull Stakes. Mile on the 16th in here, named after what a stars of 1994. Holy Bull, the 3-year-old. Things went wrong in the Kentucky Derby. That was about the only thing that went wrong for him that season. He came back in the Met Mile a couple weeks after the Kentucky Derby and beat older horses, then got back on the 3-year-old trail when the Travers, the Haskell, just one of the most phenomenal, brilliant horses of his generation of the mid-90s, the Holy Bull Stakes. Who do you like in this one?
This is an interesting race. Ferocious clearly has the resume to win.
Right.
He was a good maiden winner at Saratoga, came back and was second in the Hopeful, second in the Breeders' Futurity. And then he was maybe a little bit compromised in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile due to the lack of pace that day. But he was given some time off, which is fine. I like to see that. But in looking at the work tab, which is very brief, and reading the comments from the connections, he's not 100% in any way, shape, or form cranked up for this race. They're using this race as a prep for probably the Fountain of Youth and then the Florida Derby, which makes sense. But as a gambler, you look at the form and you say, I don't think he's ready to show his best, and so I'm going to try to beat him. Well, that's what I'm going to try to do. If he wins, more power to him. But Tappan Street is a colt. They gave $1 million for him as a yearling, even though the bottom line is not great. Even he's by into mischief. You'd think it would be. But after breaking his maiden first time at Gulfstream and doing it nicely, here is a breeze that he had recently, Jeremy, in company with Patch Adams, and he's on the inside. And again, I like to see this after a maiden win to come back and look good in a workout, indicating to me that he's progressing. That's a nice colt on the outside of him. Yeah. And he was going just as well, I thought, as Patch Adams.
Yeah, and Patch Adams ran last week in the Southwest at Oaklawn as the favorite. Was a little flat late in the lane and ended up fourth in there, and what was really kind of a disappointing effort for Patch Adams. And you see how Tappan Street works in here, and he's going easy, and I think he goes just as well, if not the better of the two. And actually, I think he's going to finish up stronger. Patch Adams kind of ran back to this workout where he kind of looked and loomed and looked like he was going to be going stronger of the two, and then kind of didn't, and he kind of ran to that. So if Tappan Street runs back to the work here, effective on the inside with speed, that's going to be the strategy here at Gulfstream on Saturday, because he's in post 3 in a mile and a 16th race at Gulfstream Park. As you see, he's the stronger of the two in the gallop out here, and that's a good sign for Tappan Street. And with that post position, post 3, I think he's in a really good spot. Short run to the first turn at Gulfstream, going a mile and a 16th, obviously, and then the 16th pole finish line is in play. So just get to the top of the stretch and live to the wire, and that's what you're looking to do. I think Tappan Street's really well drawn in there because there's not a ton of speed. Kinetic Control's not very fast in the 1 hole. Ferocious isn't a dead set speed horse at all in the 2. Even with blinkers on, I don't think Ferocious is going to be up there contending and banging for the lead, especially as you talked about. If they're using this as a stepping stone race, they're certainly not going to want to empty him out trying to get up to the pace and go 45 to the half. So I think Tappan Street can kind of control things inside, and he's inside at Guns Loaded, and he's going to get a great trip in here. I think he's very effective in this spot, and I think he's in the right spot to do it. As for Guns Loaded, he was a wire-to-wire winner of the Mucho Macho Man Stakes, but not very fast fractions in that one for a one-turn mile. There was no speed in the race. In fact, there wasn't a lot of quality in the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. The one proven stakes horse scratched out of there to run at Tampa, Rascal something or other, and I can't think of his Naughty Rascal, I believe. And so there wasn't much in that race. I kind of reviewed the race of Guns Loaded and thought, he was kind of hanging on to win that. Treaty of Rome, who came on to run second in there for Chad Brown, he's kind of getting a lot of good vibes to me. I think he might be a Derby type horse. Treaty of Rome, we've seen a couple horses he's run against in the past come back and run really well recently. So I think if you're taking a horse out of the Mucho Macho Man Stakes, it's probably Treaty of Rome that you want to be looking at. Guns Loaded is going to have to prove it to me around 2 turns, Jeff. I'm not sold that he's going to be a router, even though Sire Gunrunner, damn Sire Bernardini, there's no reason he won't route, but he just doesn't show it to me on paper.
I watched this Mucho Macho Man race and very disappointed, even in victory, because they handed him an easy lead, 24-2, 47-3. And given that kind of trip, isn't he supposed to open up and keep going? And he's life and death to hang on. And it was a very disappointing performance from the quarter pole home. Whereas Tappan Street, he was up close to the pace, going 7/8, came around horses and one going away. And if I'm Brad Cox, I tell Saez, Vamonos at the out of the gate, go, because you put this horse on the lead, and he might do to this field what he did to Patch Adams, inside and breezing, and then opening up, and then continuing on and galloping out well. So if you can duplicate what he did in the workout in this race, and based on the pace projection, I think he can. Why can't he keep on going? And his trainer says he's supposed to be we like him more as a route horse. I agree with him in watching his race. The best part of that maiden win was his last furlong. So I like him. I think he's a good gambler.
Brad Cox could have a big day with the 3-year-olds on Saturday with all these Derby preps, and you say, well, yeah, big deal. But at Gulfstream Park, he's got Gulfstream, he's got Gun Meadow in the Swale Stakes, and he's got Tappan Street here at Holy Bull. This is a new venue for him. We're used to seeing dominating preps at Fairgrounds, at Oaklawn this time of year, but his string at Gulfstream has 2 major players potentially on Saturday. Also, another horse for the Holy Bull I want to throw out there for people to take a look at is Burnham Square for trainer Ian Wilkes. This was an impressive winner last time. Now, he had everything his way last time because he had the rail and a 7-horse field going to mile and 16. We talk about inside speed being so effective. He was able to get up into the race and draw up and win easily. But this is a router. He's by Liam's map at the dam side. His Dam Linda was a really good turf route mare for the Withams. And this is a homebred who I think can really run. The Ian Wilkes horses usually don't show much right out the bat. And he was a 6-furlong sprint runner up at Keeneland. Like, you expect an Ian Wilkes, Keeneland 6-furlong 2-year-old sprinter to run 7th. You know, he was right on the wire and just missed in there rallying. That showed that he had something about him. I think Burnham Square is very interesting. I don't know if he's going to win from I know it's only the 7-hole, but you're going to lose some ground going into the first turn here. I don't know if he's going to win on Saturday, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't run really well. And I'd be surprised if at Florida Derby time, when they get to a mile and 1/8, that he's not one of the top 5 or 6 horses in Florida at 9 furlongs.
No, I agree. His form is intriguing, and this is a critical race for Burnham Square. We'll find out how good he is and whether he can take that next step. He's not necessarily a quick horse, so I wonder what kind of trip he's going to get.
Yeah.
But if he can get over, save some ground, and be within range, then we'll find out. So it's a good, it's an interesting
kind
race.
Of a good even 3rd or 4th out of him in this race is, I think, what you're looking for. And it'll show that he can step up into the stakes ranks, take on some decent horses. And again, the longer they go, I think Burnham Square is going to be one that you want to keep an eye on. Let's switch now to Santa Anita on Saturday, where we've got 4 stakes races on the program. Beginning early in the card, races 3, 4, 6, and 8 are the stakes races of note. We're going to start things off with the Santa Monica Stakes in race number 3. This, once upon a time, was for a long time the first Grade 1 stakes of the year. Was always the Santa Monica Stakes run in January at Santa Anita. It's now at Grade 2. We got the Pegasus World Cup before it, and the Santa Anita or Santa Monica Stakes for filly and mare sprinters at 7/8 of a mile. Jeff, we've only got a field of 4 in here. 3 trained by Bob Baffert. You're going against the 3/4 likelihood that Bob Baffert wins this race. Tell us who you've got amongst this 4.
I ended up with Copian. She was 37-1 when she won the La Brea. She should not have been anywhere near that price. And she looked great doing it. As a matter of fact, she is now undefeated in 3 starts around 1 turn, which is what she is. She's a 1-turn filly. And she took heat that day. The second quarter should have been a backbreaker. It went 22 flat, then 44-1. And she was right there up on the pace, and she just kind of laughed it off and then drew off and won very impressively. 97 buyer number is going to win a lot of Grade 1s around the country. And Splendor is outside of her, and she's not as quick. Hope Road was just outfooted by Copian. And Ricci, who was, I thought, very nice in victory in Los Flores, I should say. I wonder, I don't know about her because they didn't go as fast the first part. She got a great trip. There was only 5 in the race. She got through every step of the way. I loved her race. Don't get me wrong. But in comparing her to Copian, I think Copian's got more brilliance than Ricci does. I think Ricci's future is going long. And that's why I ended up with Copian. Copian trained so well prior to her comeback in the La Brea. I was really surprised she was as big a price as she was. And after watching the workouts since that race, leading up to this one, she's breezing just as good, if not better, since. So I expect a similar effort. And the pace scenario should be comfortable. I'm going with Copian, Richard Mandela. Again, a one-turn specialist, loves Santa Anita, and I think she's going to be the controlling speed.
Obviously, the key race in this one is the La Brea Stakes. Copian first, Splendora second, Hope Road fourth. Let's go back to that one at the beginning of the meet at Santa Anita so you can get a look for yourself and a listen in with the call with Frank Miramonte.
It's Sandy Bottom taking them to the half-mile pole. 3/4 of a length, Copian moves into second. Then Kinza third, followed at the rail by Splendora and one Magic Filly 3 deep. 3 lengths off the lead, accelerating on the outside and taking the third spot as they round the far turn. Hope Road is next past the 3/8 pole with 5 to make up. She's also starting to advance as they get toward the top of the stretch. Accuracy is next and Sugarfish has trailed throughout. Copian takes the lead away from Sandy Bottom, opens up to Hope Road on the outside. Now gets a reminder to come after that. Copian, who has a 3-length lead. It's Copian in charge inside the final 1/8 of a mile. Hope Road in second, followed by Splendora, who's picking up some pieces late, but Copian has come back in fine style, and Copian has won the La Brea Stakes handily by 3 lengths. Splendora finished second.
Hard in a 4-horse field to envision this script flipping amongst those horses who couldn't chase Copian down that way. She's got to come back to them, I think, to get beat. Ricci's the X factor, right? Because she's the new face against that group. If Hope Road, or I should say, if Ricci can't run with your top pick in there, Jeff, I don't see how they're going to beat Copian. Let's take that one as a potential single maybe there in race number 3. To the 4th we go, the Bob Lewis Stakes, named for the longtime owner, Bob and Beverly Lewis. You remember their Oregon Duck Silks of the green and gold, Silver Charm, Serena Song et al. The Lewis Memorial Stakes, race number 4 on the card, has 20 Kentucky Derby points to the winner and down through the top 4 finishers. So let's talk about the field in here. We've got a field of 5, 3 of them trained by Bob Baffert. From the rail, Matticat Road, Citizen Bull, and Rodriguez. They are going to easily be the top 3 wagering choices in this race as well. Baffert's got control of this one, as expected in a Southern California 3-year-old race. But which of his horses will be the standout star here? Citizen Bull obviously has all the form, all the resume from age 2, Jeff, but Matticat Road and Rodriguez are the up-and-comers, so they get to meet in the crossroads.
This is a race that Bob will probably try to, well, he won't try to, he will orchestrate because he's got 3 horses here. Matticat Road is not that quick in the opening furlong of his races. I don't think they'll send him. He's really training well, and he's a good colt, don't get me wrong, and I think he'll be much better running long than short. But to me, he's not going to be a pace factor, and I don't think they want him to be a pace factor. I think they're trying to teach him to settle and make a run, which is what he did in the Bob Hope, and then he did it when he broke his maiden. And I love his pedigree being by Quality Road, but with Smoke lacking on the bottom, I'm not sure how far he really wants to run, but he'll run a mile. So he's a contender, but I don't think he's a pace factor. Citizen Bull's got one way to go. You look at his form, and if he's not in front, he's not Citizen Bull. You know what I'm saying? Right. And he was able to get a really soft trip in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, 47-4 by himself. That race, I believe, flattered him, and the runner-up has not come back to frank the form. No. Same thing with the American Pharaoh, 23-4, 47-3. Now, Rodriguez has got speed, but I don't think they're going to send him either. I mean, they'll put him in the race, but I don't think he's going to go head-and-head. You can see him here. He's working with the Getaway Car, who's a nice colt. I think he's going overseas to run next. But Rodriguez is on the inside, and he is, again, a kind of a colt that I do think will settle behind another horse. Now, he's on the inside here, but he's under wraps. And, again, the final furlong of this breeze, to me, is what sells me on Rodriguez. Again, nice mover, ears up, just kind of going. He's either colt on the outside, decent sort of colt. He's being niggled at, pushed on, and Rodriguez kind of toying with him. So this is his breeze after his 101 buyer number that he earned breaking his maiden. I think there's nothing but further improvement in him, and I just think that he's going to settle off the pace. But now, here's the issue. That's fine, but if Citizen Bull's all by himself, how is Rodriguez is going to catch him? Well, thank you very much to Wesley Ward.
Yeah.
Now, I've watched Clock Tower's races, and I've watched him breeze. This colt is fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not only is he fast, but you can't take him back. I wouldn't be surprised if Wesley tells his rider, Clock Tower, forget Citizen Bull, just go to the front. Take the racetrack from him. If the closers can close, we might roll all the way to the wire. We're not going to show it here, but Clock Tower has, back in December 26th when he went 59-1, he looked fantastic. I haven't seen him since, but he is fast. He will do the dirty work for Rodriguez, I think, on Citizen Bull. Let Rodriguez drop over and sit third, and then we'll find out if he can go on with it. If he goes on with it, then we got some serious prospect here.
Yeah, this is a very interesting cat and mouse game. I don't know if we're going to learn a lot about horses' quality towards the Kentucky Derby because of so many intra-race factors that are going to go into this race, right? Does anybody go? Does Baffert orchestrate it? If Clock Tower, for some reason, doesn't get away, bobbles out of the starting gate and gets away fourth, everything kind of changes. So I don't know what we're going to learn out of this, but what we do know is Citizen Bull is the champion 2-year-old from last year. He won the Breeders' Cup with an easy trip, and this should be, on paper, a tougher trip, but we never know how it's going to turn out. They always say never fear just one other speed horse when you're trying to project how a race is going to shape up. But Clock Tower might be different. He might be one to absolutely fear if he gets up there in the grill of Citizen Bull. This is going to be an interesting one. Citizen Bull, Rodriguez, Maddocket Road. I think you're going to see Citizen Bull a slight favorite in here over Rodriguez. I know that's how you made the official track morning line, Jeff. I think you're right on that. I think enough people, I know the buyer's a little bit higher for Rodriguez 101 compared to the 96 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but I think people are going to look at resume and probably give the edge to Citizen Bull. From a rider standpoint, though, Juan Hernandez will probably take a little more money on Rodriguez than Marty Garcia would on Citizen Bull. So they're going to be very close. They're going to be very close.
The other thing is, obviously, Juan had his choice, and he jumps off Maddocket Road to ride Rodriguez. So that was kind of easy in terms of making him a shorter price than Maddocket Road.
Right.
One other thing I want to point out, and I'll let people decide for themselves here, but you can go to XBTV and watch Citizen Bull's workouts leading up to this race. It's good. They're good, but they're not great. You know what I mean? I mean, there's no buzz there. There's no goosebumps associated with Citizen Bull's workouts. And we saw Rodriguez there. He looked really good. He went to 59 and change. Could have gone 58. So I still think that Citizen Bull, obviously I think this because I made the line, that Citizen Bull will be favored because one's a champion and one's a maiden winner. So, and I think a lot of people are going to look at that. But again, as a gambler, I would prefer Rodriguez. But they're splitting hairs, and neither one of them's going to be much of a price. I just might sit back and just enjoy the show.
Yeah, I handicapped these all for Countdown to the Crown, and my confidence of these three races on Saturday is this race and the Withers are kind of like even, and like I really don't have a good feel. I think I have a better feel for Tappan Road and the Florida race,
I do too.
The Holy Bull. Of the three prep races this weekend, I feel better about the Holy Bull than I do the other two, but we're going to find out. Like I told you earlier this week, I feel like I'm trying to squeeze water with this year's 3-year-old crop.
So far,
there's nothing to grip. It's just all going through my fingers. I don't have a feel for these horses yet at all.
Somewhere down the line, you and I will get that feel. Maybe
I hope so.
Maybe
I hope
Barnes
it's before the
runs
first
in the
Saturday in May. I hope it's not June until I figure this out.
No, seriously. I've had derbies where I go in and I'm supposed to make picks, and I'll make a pick. You have to. But I'd like to say, I have not a clue, And sometimes I'm bullish about my pick. You just never know. Sometimes you really like the pick. But so far, I think I lean with Barnes. But again, he's got a lot to prove too. So, anyway, well, it'll come.
I remember getting to Derby Day one year and not having any clue who I liked, but I thought Bloomin' Affair would rally and run second for Jack Van Berg. So my Derby bet was to back wheel second. And, of course, Bloomin' Affair ran third because that's the way it works.
That's the racing god saying, take a stand.
Take a stand, would you? All right, let's go down to race number 6 on Saturday's card at Santa Anita. We get away from the 3-year-olds here and go to the older fillies and mares on the turf. The Grade 3 Megahertz, named for the millionaire turf mare for Bobby Frankel. Boy, did she have a turn of foot. Seemed like every time you watched the video of Megahertz, she was about 6 wide at the top of the stretch and just barreling down on everybody, making a wide rally on them. We've got a field of 7 in this year's Megahertz going that grass mile that we had talked about. Who do you got in this one, Jeff?
Originally, I made Sariha the favorite, and she probably will be. She's won her last 2 after being claimed for $25,000 by super trainer Mark Glatt, and she improved dramatically as we knew she would. Good tactical speed, versatile filly. And then I looked at Rashmi, the younger one. Sariha is 6 years of age, and she's been a moderate claimer all of her life until Glatt got her, and now all of a sudden she's a graded stakes type filly. Mm-hmm. But Rashmi, after winning her previous 2 races, had the great misfortune of drawing the 11 hole going 1.25 miles at Santa Anita in the American Oaks. And you know those races from that dog leg start, it's almost an impossible situation. It's like drawing the 12 hole at Gulfstream going 1.8 miles in the main track. So instead of going to the front in that race, they took her back to last. Mm-hmm. A complete total change of strategy dictated by the post. And they took her back, got her some cover, she lagged, and then they wanted to make one run with her, which she did. But problem is, not only was she running against horses like She Feels Pretty and Kathy and Marissa, but those are terrific fillies. But they came to last quarter in 22-3, and she's trying to rally from last. Yeah, and she did. She finished 4th. She was motoring in the final furlong. Just had an impossible situation there, and still ran well. Earned a career top number. Now she's back going 1 mile, which might actually be her better distance. Plus, she's able to utilize her tactical speed from the 4 hole. So put it all together, and I ended up, even though I made her second choice, I really like Rashmi here to beat Sariha. They'll both run really well. I can't envision anybody running 1-2 or 2-1 other than these 2. Mm-hmm. But I think a daughter of Oscar Performance, just 4 years of age, I think Rashmi's got a chance to be a good filly this year. And I think it starts here with the Megahertz.
Let's take a look back at the American Oaks. Look all the way back to the back of the field in the famed Augustin Stables, green and white. You're going to pick up Rashmi in last.
This is back to 4th. Mizion is next, followed by strutting toward the half-mile pole. Baltic Fire. On the outside, Kathy and Marissa is making an early bid in the yellow colors, passing horses one by one. There goes Kathy and Marissa, a bold move all the way up to take 3rd as they move into the far turn. At the back of the field, Watchtower, Maduro, stride for stride, and Rashmi has trailed throughout. Around the turn, and it's Vibes just in front. Valance still right up alongside. Kathy and Marissa, and now there goes She Feels Pretty with an electrifying move at the top of the stretch, taking command and cruising to the 8th pole. Kathy and Marissa 3 lengths back in 2nd. Maduro's in 3rd. In the final furlong, She Feels Pretty is absolutely gorgeous as she dominates and outclasses them in the American Oaks. Kathy and Marissa was 2nd. Maduro finished 3rd, and Rashmi from last.
You get that holy cow feeling every time you watch She Feels Pretty in one of these replays. I mean, when she turns it on, she turns it on. There are no She Feels Pretty in the Megahertz Stakes. So solid 4th place close. Like you said, she was making up ground even though they were coming home in 22 and change. So that's a look at the 6th on Saturday at Santa Anita, to the 8th and final stakes that we'll handicap here for our program. The Thunder Road Stakes, grade 3 turf mile here for the boys. Megahertz for the fillies and mares. The boys will go into Thunder Road Stakes. You know, I love to talk about the history of the great horses and people that these races are named for. The Thunder Road Stakes named for, we have no freaking idea. We've been trying to figure this one out. I don't know. There don't appear to be any great horses named Thunder Road. I don't think it's a famous street in Southern California that I'm not aware of. Maybe it's a Mel Gibson movie or something. I don't know what the Thunder Road is, but we've got a field of 9 in here, and the most important thing isn't talking about the history of these races. It's finding out who the winner is. So, Jeff, let's just cut to the chase, man. Who's it going to be?
Well, if Seal Team gets the proper patient ride he needs, I think he'll win. In those last 2 races, he moved way too soon. Maybe the jock thought, and they were talking about Reese Bully and Pratt, they're the best they come in terms of grass, but I think they thought the wire was the 8th pole because he was sitting in a great spot, and all of a sudden he makes this premature move wide, strikes the front, and then pays the price late. He did that in the Seabiscuit at Del Mar, last time out in the San Gabriel. He should have waited a little longer. He didn't lose anything losing to Johannes, and even me, Ramon came back out of that race and ran reasonably well. So if this time Reese Pulley just grabs him, takes him back, and waits as long as he can. He's got a good turn of foot. He did that when he was a younger horse. I think he can mow this field down. It's an easier spot than what he's been seeing for sure, but he's got to get that patient right, because I don't think his run is that long. But when he won the Twilight Derby as a 3-year-old and unfortunately got hurt after that race, he did produce the last run, and he looked good winning that day.
Let's take a look back at that Twilight Derby. Seal Team, he's also my pick in here in the Thunder Road.
Field turns for home, and Watsonville, the leader, Silverknot coming after him in the center of the course. Webslinger has 6 lengths to make up still, and also Rayquist running a big race, one from the inside, and Seal Team gets breathing room, and he's storming down the center of the course. Seal Team takes the lead, Webslinger flying, Seal Team under Umberto Rispoli.
That's what you're talking about, timing that move, right? A couple factors here will help time the move. The cutback to a mile, right? He was going a mile and 16th and a mile and an eighth. Also, the sharp pace in here. As I handicap this race as our express bet race of the week, Cabo Spirit's best race is to try to go wire to wire. I don't think he's fast enough in a mile to get there, but Air Force Red is very fast. Astronomer wants to be up near the pace. Wizard of Westwood, El Potente, these horses all want to be up towards the lead. And so Seal Team from the 9 lets all those horses go out, slides on over, and there's going to be a hell of a pace in here, I think, for a turf mile. So those factors also help time this thing out. He's not going to be able to move too soon into this pace. They're going to run away from him a little bit early, and then all of a sudden they're all going to clump up then and come back to him probably around the 8th pole. So I think this is a great setup for Seal Team. He's my play in here. In fact, the strategies in the race of the week is just bet him on the nose. I didn't even try to figure out, of all the speed horses in here, I'm not going to try to figure out which one's going to last for second, but I do think Seal Team is going to get the victory in the Thunder Road and wrap it up for us this week, Jeff.
I think El Potente is the one he has to fear most, because he's got tactical speed and he's really, really good. But I think the race shape might do him in, and Seal Team again. Get that patient right. And you're right. He can't help but get it. Yeah.
Sometimes the situation determines your tactics. And I think that will be the case in here with him on a Saturday. All right. Well, we hope you have fun playing the races this weekend. Do so with Express Bet and First Bet. Again, a couple handicapping tournaments. Beat the Host on Saturday. Brian Natto there. It's just $10 win bets in Beat the Host. So you make your win bets and play the races. And if you outpoint Brian, you win weekly prizes. $67,500 in seasonal and weekly prizes up for grabs in Beat the Host. It's pari-mutuel, so your winnings go into your account. And and if you can outpoint the host, you'll qualify for the final of the Beat the Host final coming up, I believe, the first or second week of March. So be sure to go to expressbet.com/tournaments or go to the ExpressBet website and click on the tournaments tab, and you'll get all the details and information to register for Beat the Host this weekend. A lot of great Kentucky Derby preps around the country. We don't have big field sizes. We've got a lot of question marks, but that's what we're trying to do here in the first week of February. We're trying to figure out who might be on the Kentucky Derby trail. We know we've got the champion back this Saturday. Jeff, what do you want to see out of Citizen Bull? I mean, let's finish with that. Let's finish with the note on the champion here. If he's a 2-year-old champ, if he's going to be a 3-year-old champion, what do you want to see out of him on Saturday?
Well, because he's a one-dimensional speed horse, he's going to have to go, and I'd like to see him take heat and find out if he can do that. And if he can shrug off whatever pace pressure he gets and opens up and sets legitimate fractions, none of this 47 and change stuff he's been blessed with. If he can do that, then there's a chance that he might run farther than I think he is. Pedigree-wise, I don't know. I don't know how far he really wants to run, and maybe we won't learn that much from his performance going a mile. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Gulfstream races. I want to see somebody emerge there, and I think we might, so we'll see.
I wouldn't be surprised if Gunmetal comes out of the Swale and is the horse we're talking about by the time we get to Tuesday's edition of It's Official. Jeff and I will return then for our weekly banner and recap podcast and review all the racing. We'll be back on this podcast a week from Friday to preview next weekend's racing. On behalf of everybody with First Bet, Express Bet, and my partner, Jeff Siegel, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you on Tuesday.